All right, what's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be comparing the top 3 assault rifles in Warzone head-to-head. I'm going to be recommending to you guys which gun I think is best. We're going to be taking a look at the overall stats for each weapon as far as how they rank with the best 5 attachments on them. Obviously, with that best class setup, I'm going to be recommending for you guys. So I'm going to be uploading unique videos of each weapon ranking the best attachments and class setups. If you guys want to go watch any of the individual videos of the RAM, M4, and the GRAU, I ranked and uploaded in-depth videos breaking down the attachments of which ones are best. Linked will be down in the description below. But in today's video, like I said, we're comparing them head to head with those 5 attachments on there because that's where it's going to separate the biggest difference each gun. So if you guys want to leave a comment down below right now, which gun do you guys actually think is the best, or which is your favorite to use, the M4, the GRAU, or the RAM-7? I feel like the RAM-7 definitely still flies under the radar. A lot of people still haven't caught on to it being very good yet. So if you guys learned anything new in this video does help you guys make better class setups or learn about the weapons better, you want to leave a like, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But just jumping right into it, when we talk about the overall base stats of the weapons, tell you guys where the biggest difference is. As far as the overall damage, they have the exact same damage profile: 28 up close, 18 at a long distance, meaning it's a 9 to 14 shots to kill in Warzone. The only difference with these weapons in reality is going to be in the overall fire rate. M4 is obviously about 833 rounds per minute, which is still on the faster end. The GRAU is about 750 rounds per minute, which is average for guns in this game. And the RAM-7 is the second fastest firing AR at 880 rounds per minute, which is excellent. That is definitely what's going to set it apart as far as the overall time to kill. As far as the best class setup for each weapon, we'll be breaking that down right now for you guys. I'll showcase a little video on the screen of what I'm talking about. What is the best attachments used? For the M4, use the custom Corvus Marksman long barrel, the Commando foregrip, the 50-round extended mag, the monolith suppressor, and I use the tac laser on the M4. What that gives me is about 40% more range with the weapon, a 25% slower aim down sight time, about 6% slower movement. Overall accuracy is going to go up by a lot, and obviously my range is going to go up by a lot, which is definitely going to help make this an excellent weapon. For the GRAU, we're going to be using the Nexus long barrel, the Commando foregrip, the 50-round mag, the monolith suppressor, and the no stock attachment. The no stock, in my opinion, is probably the best attachment to use on the GRAU because the mobility of this weapon is so excellent, and the no stock attachment has very little effect on your overall recoil. Going to give you about 50% more range, only a 10% slower ADS, and only a 2% slower movement speed. Your accuracy is obviously going to be greatly increased. This weapon has excellent range, which is going to get 50% more. As far as the RAM-7, we're going to be using the Ranger foregrip with the Ranger long barrel, with the 50-round mag, the monolith suppressor. And the biggest difference in the attachments here is whether you prefer the tac laser or the rubberized. I prefer the rubberized, stacking it with both the Rangers because my overall recoil pattern is going to be significantly improved. What that's going to give you is about 50% more range with a 50% slower ADS, which is pretty massive, and a 5% slower movement speed. So I chose the Ranger foregrip just because my movement speed was already so bad. It definitely does give a little bit less overall recoil. Once again, stacking up the rubberized grip is going to give you the least vertical recoil pattern possible to give you guys the best overall recoil pattern for this gun, which is very bad in accuracy. So as far as the range, this is going to separate the weapons. The M4 and the RAM is about the exact same. You guys can see up to 42 meters as the base damage profile for the first 9 shots. And then the GRAU is going to be up to 45 meters, which is just about 10% farther. And then the max damage range of the GRAU is about 90 meters compared to that of the RAM and the M4, which are both about 70. So it's about 20 more meters of range, which is definitely going to help that overall time to kill out a lot. As far as comparing the accuracy of all 3 weapons, you guys can see a little screenshot on the screen. GRAU on the left, M4 in the middle, and the RAM on the right. This is, in my opinion, what 100% separates these weapons, where that fire rate definitely is going to kick into the overall stats of these weapons and show you which one's actually the best. As you guys can see, even with the no stock attachment, the GRAU is purely vertical. If you look at the screenshot on the screen now, this is the GRAU with the tac laser versus the GRAU with the no stock. The recoil pattern is almost identical with just a little bit more vertical recoil with the no stock, which gives you a massive increase in mobility, so I 100% recommend it. The M4, as you guys can see, is still vertical, drags a little bit to the right at the very end, which is obviously only if you're holding to your R trigger for seconds on end. Most of your fights are anywhere between 15 to 30, 40 shots. So it's mostly going to have a vertical recoil pattern, which is very good. Then you guys can see the RAM-7 is going to drag early on within the first 10 shots, and it's going to pull hard to the left, which is very hard to control because if you're shooting at a player who's moving to the right, you're trying to track him. with that vertical recoil pattern pulling directly to the left, is going to be very hard to hit your shots at long distances against players that are moving. And obviously with that recoil pattern dragging off of players is going to make you miss a lot more than the other two weapons. As far as the idle sway, the M4 is the only gun that has the tack laser on it unless you use it on the RAM-7. So the idle sway of the M4 is 0, which is definitely going to make the overall accuracy a lot better. Obviously I'm going to rank the GRAU as #1 most accurate. The recoil pattern is perfectly straight and only kicks vertically, which is the easiest to control. M4 with that idle sway being 0 is definitely an excellent as far as the accuracy. When I tested it earlier, I was having a very good time hitting my shots with this class setup. The RAM being a weapon that drags hard to the left is going to be the 100% worst thing about the gun. Is the overall accuracy is very hard to control. As far as the mobility, this is once again the biggest category that dictates the biggest difference between these weapons. As you guys should know, the GRAU is the most mobile AR in the game, and that is why I went for the mobility stats of the best class setup for it. Aim down sight's only about 260 milliseconds, which is actually pretty average, somewhat faster for assault rifles, with a 95% movement speed, which is once again average for assault rifles. If you compare that to the M4, your aim down sight times be a little bit over 300 milliseconds, which is on the slower end of assault rifles. Movement speed about 89%, which is the slowest of the three, and is slower for LMG. So movement speed is definitely very low. As far as that RAM, aim down sight time about 350 milliseconds, probably one of the slowest assault rifles aim down sight time in the entire game. Once, like I said, you can counter that a little bit with the tack laser, but this weapon is going to lack very hard because that Ranger foregrip is going to lower your aim down sight time. It's definitely going to help with the overall recoil, so it's kind of a hit and miss there. But the aim down sight time is definitely the biggest negative, along with that accuracy. Movement speed about 90%, which is pretty average for LMG. So that's definitely the biggest negative for the RAM, is the overall mobility and the overall accuracy. And as far as one thing that affects the time to kill, in my opinion, is the overall reload stat time. The GRAU has the fastest reload out of all the guns, about 0.3 seconds faster than the RAM, which is the slowest reloading. So let's say you fire 30 bullets, you have to reload. You're going to have 0.3 of a second faster reload time on the GRAU, which is going to help bring that time to kill up. So you take a look at the overall time to kill, just the base time to kill of each weapon and up to what range. You guys can see a little graph on the screen. The GRAU has the slowest time to kill at every single range, including long, close, and mid. But like I said, with that overall accuracy at that mid to long range, you're definitely going to be hitting a lot more of your shots, in my opinion. And with that fast reload time, I definitely am going to be recommending it as my best weapon. As you guys can see, the RAM-7 kills faster than both the M4 and the GRAU at every single range, which is why I rank it as probably my most underrated weapon in the game. And you guys can see the M4 is definitely very close to the RAM as far as overall time to kill, and has a lot better accuracy and pretty average mobility. So I definitely think the M4 is an excellent weapon to use in Warzone as well. So if you take a look at the GRAU, which I think is the best gun to use, there is one range where it's between that 70 to 90 meters where it kills the fastest, because that's where the damage range extends out to, which is about 25% of your range. This is a long range fight though. I would say 90% of your fights are anywhere between like 30 and 70 meters, which is where the M4 is definitely going to excel the most. So the overall time to kill category, I'd give it to the M4, just because the RAM-7 does have a faster time to kill, but with that slow reload time, that aim down sight time, and the overall accuracy being very hard to hit your shots, I definitely think I'm going to be missing a lot more shots with the RAM. So I definitely think the M4 takes the overall time to kill category. But when you take a look at all those stats and break them down, the GRAU mobility completely outclasses the other two. The recoil pattern is very similar to the M4, but I think it's a little bit better. It has the fastest reload time, and obviously that range is where it's going to help it out a little bit over the other two weapons. So the M4 is definitely going to take the overall accuracy category, versus the RAM has a little bit better idle sway, basically being 0, which is going to help it a lot. And the only real thing that RAM has over these weapons is that overall fire rate, which is going to give it the fastest time to kill at every single range if you can hit your shots. So that's pretty much it for today's video. As you guys know, I uploaded a video a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago comparing these weapons head to head, and it wasn't as full in depth as I wanted it to be, and it wasn't up to my standards of the quality of videos I want to put out. So I definitely thought I should make another one with a better breakdown and comparing it to the actual stats of the guns that matter, which is with the 5 attachments on it. So you guys absolutely crush a like on that video. If you guys want to crush a like on this video, because I put a lot of effort into this, I would greatly appreciate it. As I said, I have a specific class set of video for each weapon. If you guys want to go check out each one, I'll link it down in the description below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys are still watching, you have not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. You guys already know the best and only code to use on all your scuff and GFUEL purchases is code Trapgod. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.